Hey guys, so I just want to use this video to clarify some points I made in, one second. In that video I posted in the last few days, no mercy for the merciless. So I said, I just want to do a quick video. Yeah, it's 36 minutes long for the one I just posted before, which is like, whatever, I don't take myself too seriously. I mean, that is, yeah, from some people's perspective, that would be quick. Yeah, I think, come on, like half an hour is pretty long, reasonably long. But there's definitely something to be said for the fact that people's attention spans have been destroyed in recent years. So, like, uh, yeah, you'll find most of us struggling. Well, a lot of people struggling to watch a really good video that goes in depth about something where you can really learn a lot. Long form content. There's videos about this on YouTube I've seen that are 2 to 3 hours long, but they're great. And people say, "Oh, I don't want to watch that. It's too long." Like, dude, do you read books? Probably not. Do you have meaningful relationships? Probably not, because you need to have a decent attention span and to be able to pay attention to have experiences of meaning and beauty in this world. So go. I would highly recommend to anyone who's open to it to watch the full video I posted before this one, the one that's 36 minutes long, because there's a lot of funny and philosophical stuff in there, but it really clarifies things, and I think you could learn a lot. Yeah, so just give it a go if you're open to it. But this one genuinely will be relatively quick. So, but I also partly mentioned the video I just posted because there's a lot of overlap between the No Mercy for the Merciless video and this one put together, and the one I just posted before, which is kind of a separate purpose. So in the video I just posted, where I clarify my political position and personal position on World War III, I talk about more at length how there's no goodies and baddies in this war. Ultimately, everyone has some fault. Let he who's without sin cast the first stone, as Jesus said. Don't, as people were, I think, what is it? They were stoning a woman to death because she'd been accused of adultery, I think. And he's basically saying, well, who are you to judge? Who are you to throw stones? Don't be a hypocrite. That's wisdom right there. And it's not just individually, it's collectively. So why am I saying this? Well, yes, there's going to be no mercy for the merciless for us, because we in the West have, the Anglo-Saxon countries in particular have very bad, heavy karma from past imperialism. That's true. I also mentioned in that No Mercy for the Merciless video, it was more for just wars in the Middle East in the past 20 to 30 years. I want to clarify, it's not the case. It's for everything. It's for all the wars we've done. In the US, it even includes slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and the destruction of the cultures of the Native Americans when that continent was conquest. And I'm not getting into the right or wrong of that or what I think of it. I mean, it's just what happened, right? But and England has very, very heavy karma because they had one of the biggest empires in history. I think the biggest by land area. They have very heavy karma because of that. Don't get me started on Israel. Israel is going to be, there's not going to be nothing left. Their karma is so bad. And New Zealand, Australia, and Canada have supported all these imperial efforts led by those three countries. In New Zealand, we sent freaking troops to fight in the Boer War in South Africa when fellow Europeans, of Christian Europeans, just wanted to be independent of the empire. I guess that's one reason I've kind of always felt uncomfortable in New Zealand, because we're still an imperial country, and it's like, yeah, we're proud we sent troops to fight in the Boer War so our fellow Christian Europeans couldn't have their freedoms, so that the English could keep exploiting gold and diamonds in South Africa, and they weren't going to let these people be free. It's a joke. It's like, last time the English let one of their colonies have guns, they lost a war. Well, that was the American War of Independence. Yeah, it's like that's why ultimately I feel more comfortable around Americans than most Americans than most Kiwis, because we're still a freaking empire and we're involved in that crap. I mean, the US is an empire, but at least to their credit, they have ingrained in them this notion of freedom, and that we shouldn't be an empire. But regardless, yeah, very heavy karma in the US too. But yeah, so to clarify, first, it's not just the last 30 years for the Anglo-Zionist empire, by which I'm referring to US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Israel. It's all the wars we've and bad things we've done. But it's not all white. Oh, hey, white people are bad. That's BS. That's not true. The whole world is doing the imperialist game. It's just dog eat dog. This is what happens when your heart's shut down, when you've got no wisdom. You just live like not even animals, because most dogs and cats have more humanity than a lot of these people who are doing this stuff. And I wish I was kidding. So every country in the world has some degree of karma, and the Western countries are by no means the worst. Like China's way far worse than the US, UK, probably similar to Israel. Um, yeah, but we're not actually the worst. And the idea that you see this a lot in the culture wars lately. You're only allowed to blame white people for racism, but the term slave comes from, like, I think I think from what I understand, Slavic peoples are called Slavs because they were slaves. Because they were white people who were being traded in slave trade. What about the Barbary slave trade, where Muslims were, doing slave raids on Europe, on places like Iceland and the UK, and taking hundreds of thousands of white slaves. The biggest slave trade in the world today is in Africa, and it's Africans enslaving Africans. No one talks about that because there's a war against white Christendom globally, which is part of a spiritual war. Like, everyone's supposed to hate white Christian people, and we're supposed to hate ourselves apparently, and we're apparently the worst of the lot. Well, it's just not true. We're actually, yes, we've been playing the imperialist game, but we are relatively gentle compared to many, many, many other countries. Okay, so it's not. There will be no mercy for the merciless for dozens and dozens of other countries after we get our karma, and then we're going to do to them what they did to us. So as I mentioned in the longer video I just posted, it's just a giant kind of spiritual reset where all the countries will pay off, will give each other their debt, and kind of, it's just everyone's going to get payback basically. And then it's ultimately the meek inheriting the earth, as Jesus talked about in the Bible. Was it Jesus? I'm not sure who talked about it in the Bible, but yeah, it's that idea of the meek. The meek shall inherit the earth. And meek was originally mistranslated. Jordan Peterson talks about it. It doesn't mean harmless pacifist who will just try and give you a hug. If you walk up to them with a sword and tell them you're going to kill them, someone who's meek in this understanding will tell you that they love you and walk up to you and try and give you a hug, and then after you cut their head off, you can go and kill their family, and you won't do anything because it's all about peace and love, right? No, that's not what meek means. It looks like it was originally mistranslated from, I think, ancient Greek, from the older versions of the Bible. But the original version of meek, a lot of words in the modern Bible were actually mistranslated over the centuries, meant something like, well, those who have swords but keep them sheathed unless necessary. So they have the capacity to be violent, but they're civilized and restrained about it. So not it won't be the nice people who inherit the earth, because a lot of them are just going to get slaughtered. You need to be able to fight and be smart also. But the good people will inherit the earth. Not to put shade on nice people, but we need more of those in the world. But yeah, it like, you can be smart and strong and be able to fight and be a kind, loving person. You can be a peaceful warrior. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And actually, what my favorite animal, the orca, which is my primary spirit animal, embodies this. Very gentle and sweet towards humans in the wild. There's actually not one recorded instance of one hurting or harming a human in the wild, and they could tear us to shreds. and they eat basically everything else in the ocean, but they have a special spiritual connection to humans, and they treat us. If orcas were a group of people, if orcas were a tribe of humans or a nation, they would literally be the most peaceful nation on earth because they've never attacked another group of humans. Think about that. There's a lot we could learn from orcas, and they're more peaceful than basically any other country, almost well, almost any other country, because there are some countries that aren't attacking others, but yeah, they're more peaceful and civilized than a lot of humans. But at the same time, if you push them too far, they'll destroy you. There's that footage, and they'll just eat you, or they'll drag you to the bottom of a tank and drown you if you catch them and torture them and put them in solitary confinement in SeaWorld for a few years. I mean, I don't freaking blame them. Um, or they'll work together in a team, and when one trainer is riding you like a freaking in a humiliating fashion for such a highly sentient, intelligent creature that's supposed to be roaming the entire oceans, and you've stuck it in a bathtub, and then you've forced it to perform tricks and just to eat. Well, I'd be pissed off too. I'd do the same thing. Well, when you've got some human riding your back just for profit, and you're being psychologically tortured, a human trainer is riding you like a horse, and you'll slow down, and then your friend will jump over you and body slam you, but mainly body slam the human trainer and break every bone in his body. There's footage from SeaWorld of that happening, and it was deliberate. The two orcas planned it. And it was like they wanted to take the trainer out because, who could blame them, right? It's something I'd like to talk about in the future on this channel. There's a lot of life lessons we can learn from orcas. They're amazing animals. But yeah, ultimately, there's plenty of merciless nations, and yeah, the Western ones aren't the only ones, and with the exception of Israel, we're by no means the worst. So it's not about hating Whitey and Christian Europe, because actually, yeah, if we were so bad, then why do all these people from all around the world want to move to countries like, even for all its issues, New Zealand or Australia, or the Nordic countries? Well, it's because we've got a lot of we've done a lot of things wrong, but spiritually and morally, on balance, overall, if you look at the planet, if you look at the women's rights, animal rights, the way we treat indigenous groups, these are some of the best countries in the world to live in for a reason. So yeah, I talk about that in my longer video that I just posted. Just don't think I'm pointing the finger at the Western countries, and it's like, oh, and getting involved in the culture wars. I'm not. The reality is that I think a lot of conservatives would ignore the bad things our countries have done and just say, like, well, maybe we're the best countries in the world, or cultures in the world, or we're better than other cultures. And look at all the problems in these other cultures, which I'm saying we should. We should look at the problems in the other cultures. But then a lot of the liberals would say, ignore the problems in the other cultures and just say, oh, they're all wonderful. And then just say, oh, the West sucks and we're evil, which is not true either. So, yeah, World War III, it'll just be, the wars, rumors of wars, and then it's all going to blow up, and then these countries in the world that are more militaristic and aggressive, because some aren't, like Chile. Chile is pretty strong, has a pretty strong military, but Argentina and Ecuador are like just basically pretty chill and leave everyone else alone. It's partly why they're not going to be involved in the war. They don't have heavy karma, but the ones that are more aggressive and militaristic, which there are dozens and dozens, they're just going to take turns giving each other their karma. So yeah, it'll be no mercy for the merciless in two waves. And first, our side will be getting our karma, and then we'll give the other side their karma. And then it will wipe the slate karmically. I say that not from a Hindu tradition, but just in terms of the word, is in the Christian sense. You could say, as you sow, so shall you reap. And then it'll wipe the slate so that we've got a clean slate to start for this new golden age that we're moving into. So I hope that helps to clarify my position. on what I said in the previous video. I'm not wanting to point fingers. Who am I to judge? And who are we to judge? But also, we shouldn't pick favorites. We should just be completely honest about the situation. Thanks.